Hello there, and welcome to Recreated Recreation. My name is Wesley. We're going to be opening 6 Strixhaven booster packs. I fortunately was able to get them from Walmart. They come with a free Zetalpa promo. Why not get the Zetalpa promo if you can help it? Throughout the video, I'm going to be making commentary on each card, just what I think about them. I'm going to do it with every card if I can. Sometimes I forget. The idea is to just appreciate every card for its potential and try and think and explore ways that we can use them. I only opened 1 Strixhaven booster so far, so this is relatively new for me. I haven't kept up with much of the Strixhaven content except for the Emeritus of Woe or Abundance or whatnot. The news gets out, whatever. That's the stuff I scroll through. But otherwise, things are relatively new for me. So these are my fresh reaction on a lot of these cards. I hope you enjoy the video with me. If you do, please consider leaving a like or even subscribing. I appreciate those who have subscribed to my channel. Thank you. I appreciate it. I hope to continue to make content once a week. I'm a little on the later side with this video, but nonetheless, let's get started. Alrighty, I'll zoom in here. Adjust my camera. My stand isn't really too happy with me with this position. Doesn't quite want to go straight. This might be one of the few times where I go through the effort of editing a piece of my video out. So I have this little axe thing. I'll zoom out a little bit so you can see it. This little axe thing. I got it for Christmas a while ago. I'm hoping this will actually rip through the plastic. We will see. Alright. From what I've heard, and from what I have seen online, the set can be pretty powerful. The booster that I opened a while ago, it wasn't that impressive. Alright, I'm just going to rip it. Wasn't that impressive. I'm hoping that these will be different. Zetalpa promo foil with the mana symbols in the bottom. It doesn't hurt to have 2 extra Zetalpas. Oh, such a beautiful card. Flying, double strike, vigilance, trample, indestructible. I put my 1 copy that I had before this in Odric because keyword soup. But it'd be nice to have this in a dinosaur deck, or perhaps even just a flyer deck. I don't know. There's multiple ways you can use this. Keyword soup is always good, especially if you can give it death touch. That is awesome. Purple, blue, green. I'd imagine. Okay, this looks like I think Quandrix, the green-blue color pairing. This looks like Izzet, the blue-red color pairing. This guy, maybe that's, it doesn't look like the black-green Witherbloom stuff. Maybe it's, because I know there's 5 color pairings in this set. There's Quandrix, the ones that makes the fractals. There's Izzet, the one that, there's the Storm Commander. My friend has a deck with the Storm Commander. There's the Orzhov colors, so white black, that makes the Inklings. This doesn't quite look like that. And then there's one more. Let's think here. Let's see if I can remember it. Doesn't red pair with something else again? Not red black. We already got red blue. It's not red green. And it's not red white. Oh wait, yes, red white. So maybe this is, I don't know. It's just the packaging. It's not like the packaging is the most important thing anyway. Alrighty. Fractal token. And it's double-sided with the spirit. Burog Banemaker. 1 black, creature, frog, warlock. Death touch. 1 drop with death touch. That's always nice. A colorless and a black. This creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Okay, so not only can it have death touch, but you can mana dump and make it a big creature. So if you want to get rid of something and you also don't want this creature to die, you can dump mana into it, equal to the power of the creature it's blocking, or that it's getting blocked by, so that's useful. Rapier Wit, 1 colorless and a white. Instant. Tap target creature. If it's your turn, put a stun counter on it. Draw a card. Okay, so if you're attacking, you can tap a creature for 2 mana and draw a card. I mean, in white, having that card draw accessible plus being able to deal with combat in a tricky way, that's really useful. This must be for the Orzhov color pairing. Landscape Painter, a colorless and a blue. Creature, Merfolk Wizard. This creature enters prepared. I heard about the prepared mechanic. While it's prepared, you may cast a copy of its spell. Doing so unprepares it. Vibrant Idea, 4 colorless and a blue. Draw 2 cards. Wow, that's a terrible rate to draw cards. 2's like the gold standard. And I don't know if you can really see, but the Vibrant Idea wording and the sorcery wording, it looks like it... I know this is a coin term, but it looks like it like double die struck. I don't know really what's going on with the text. I heard there was some quality issues with the set, but... Strife Scholar, 2 colorless and a red. Creature, Orc Sorcerer. It's cool to see orcs in a wizarding academy. That's not something you'd really expect. Ward, pay 2 life. This creature enters prepared. Awaken the Ages, 5 colorless and a red. Sorcery, create 2/2 red and white spirit creature tokens. Okay, so 6 mana for 2 2/2s. He is a 3/2 for 3 mana, but he does have Ward, pay 2 life. So, I mean, not a terrible card. Efflorescence. 2 colorless and a green. Instant. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature. Okay. If you gain life this turn, that creature also gains trample and indestructible until end of turn. Wow. Okay. I have my Baitor deck, Baitor Kin to All. It works with +1/+1 counters and it works with life gain. And he's a flyer 3/5 with a lifelink. So if I play this on somebody else's turn, so if somebody targets me after combat phase, or even after, like, let's say I have an enchantment that says whenever a creature dies, you gain 1 life, I can play this spell, protect one of my creatures, and get to put 2 +1/+1 counters on something. Or I could use it on my turn to give a creature trample and not have to worry about it dying during combat, especially if somebody's playing Death Touch heavy decks. And I get to buff my creature by 2. So the fact that I can give that creature trample and indestructible plus 2 +1/+1 counters, really great for 3 mana. Elemental Mascot, 1 colorless, a blue and a red. Creature, Elemental Bird, flying, vigilance, and it's a 1/4. So I mean, just its stats alone, having flying and vigilance, that's great. Opus, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, this creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. If 5 or more mana was spent to cast that spell, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card until the end of your next turn. Huh, interesting. So I'd imagine this would pair really well with Cascade decks. This could go well in Yidris. This could go well in probably those of you who play Abaddon decks. I disassembled Abaddon to put him inside of my Yidris deck. I can imagine that playing cards with from Exile this is what it pairs best with, especially since it's casting an instant or sorcery. So if you're cascading into instant and sorcery spell, like Bituminous Blast, this could pair really well with that. And I mean, 1/4 flying vigilance for 3 mana, that makes a great blocker, and you can be a little bit aggressive with it too. I like this card. I think it's pretty cool. I wonder how much it's worth. Rabid Attack. Colorless and a black. Instant. Until end of turn, any number of target creatures you control each get +1/+0 and gain when this creature dies, draw a card. In black. Wow. That is pretty nice if you're playing a token deck. Or if you're playing, for example, I have a Muldrotha deck that I plan on making a video on pretty soon. If you're planning on sacking all of your creatures anyway, you can draw cards off of them. And you could also, I know there's other cards that say, whenever a creature you control dies, it deals damage equal to its power to any target, maybe. So if there's a card that does that, this would pair well. It gets you card draw, you get your sack triggers, and you do more damage equal to power for each one of them because it's +1/+0. So That's cool. I don't have a deck for this at the moment. I don't have a black token creation deck or multiple cheaper, easier to get out creature decks. I took apart my Endrixar. So, and even that, you know, your limit is really 6. You don't want any more than 6 thralls in that deck anyway. So I'll have to think about this. I don't know where to put it quite yet. Neat card, has potential. Snarl Song. 5 colorless and a green sorcery. Converge. Create 2/0/0 green and blue fractal creature tokens. Put X +1/+1 counters on each of them, and you gain X life, where X is the number of colors of mana spent to cast this spell. So if you put this in a 5-color deck, and you pay 5 different colors, you can create 2 5/5 green and blues, and you can put 5 +1/+1 counters on them. Well, that's a 5/5, but and you gain 5 life for 6 mana. So that's not bad at all. I don't know why that's really in this set. This set had 2 color pairings a lot, so I'm kind of confused as to why they're going for a spell that has the number of colors of mana spent to cast. Maybe for draft. Yeah, I'm kind of confused as to why this is in this set, but I mean, nonetheless, it's a neat card. It's got potential. Pigment Wrangler. 4 colorless and a red. Creature, Orc Sorcerer. When this creature enters prepared, and it's a flying 4/4. So not a bad rate, especially in red. Striking Palette. 1 red. Sorcery. When you next cast an instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. Wow. Okay, so if you're playing a blink deck and you can get this to enter the battlefield and it comes prepared, you just have to pay 1 red to be able to copy an instant or sorcery spell. Or if you play one of those cards that say whenever this creature dies, return it to the battlefield, that could also trigger it. I mean, it's also a 4/4 creature body that you get on top of being capable of casting an instant sorcery spell. The only thing is it has to be activated at sorcery speed. So I don't know quite how that would work, because I believe that if you play an instant, it resolves, and then how would you do this? I am not a rules pro, just a disclaimer. I don't know all the Magic the Gathering rules, but as a sorcery, to me, that doesn't make sense with the stack. Oh, this card is awesome. I've heard about this card. Petrified Hamlet. When this land enters, choose a land card name. Activated abilities of sources with the chosen name can't be activated unless their mana abilities. Lands with the chosen name have tap, add a colorless. And it also taps for a colorless. And this doesn't enter tapped either. Awesome land. The thing that comes to mind for this is if you get a permanent that allows you to double enter the battlefield triggers, and you're playing with multiple opponents, or just an opponent with multiple different lands, you can just lock out their board state and say, nope, you can't tap for either of your colors, or 2 of your 3 colors, or 2 of your 4 colors. Or if you're playing against an all-colored player and they play Command Tower, you just eliminate their capability of producing 1 mana of any color. So there's lots of things you can do with this, not just restricting mana and mana color that they get, but like if they there's the legendary white land that lets you pay 1 mana to tap target legendary creature, or maybe return it to its hand. It's something crazy like that. But this is perfect for dealing with land problems, and it's also hard to remove because it's a land. So Petrified Hamlet, this is pretty cool. Mathemagics. I've seen this. I didn't know that this was coming out in this set. I've saw that people were talking about like squared Magic the Gathering cards. My friend Mason actually wants a copy of this, so he might trade me for this. It's a pretty cool card. I don't think I'm going to be drawing 32 cards or so. This is a really good draw spell. Because let's see here, 0 = 1, paying 1 into each X = 2, 2 into each X = 4, 3 into each X. So if you pay 6, 7, 8 mana, you draw 8 cards. So that's 1 mana for 1 card. That's a good ratio. But then as soon as you go beyond that, you can draw more and more cards. So, interesting. Feed the Swarm. I like that art. I have gotten bored of the normal Feed the Swarm art. I have 6 or 7 of them just in a pile somewhere, taking up space. Great removal, especially in black. Yes, it's a sorcery, and yes, you lose life, but you only have to pay 2 mana to get rid of a creature or an enchantment, and you lose life equal to the mana value. So, I mean, sometimes something that's a problem is only 2 mana, and it's worth paying the 2 mana to get rid of it. I love the art. That's really cool. Very dramatic. I like it. I like it. Hungry Graphalon, 3 colorless and a green. I opened this with the other booster pack, the one that wasn't that impressive. Reach and increment. Whenever you cast a spell, if the amount of mana you spent is greater than this creature's power or toughness, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. The thing is, the creature's already 4 mana. So right off the bat, you have to play another spell with 4 mana to put a +1/+1 counter on it, and then 5, and so on. If there was, I don't know, perhaps a creature with, I'd almost rather it be 1 or 2 mana and be a 1/1 than it be 3 or 4 mana and be a 3/4. It requires way more of you than having a cheap one that gets out that you can buff quick. It does have reach though, and I mean it is a 3/4 with reach for 4 mana, so I mean it's not terrible, and it can get bigger. So if you're planning on playing big spells anyway, sure, this guy could work, but he's not the best. And then a borderless forest. That's pretty cool. That looks like Quandrix to me. All right, so that's 1 booster pack out of 6. Petrified Hamlet is so far the winning card. That is my favorite so far that we've opened. Thank you, Purple Pack. Okay, we got an Elemental and, Elemental and Treasure. I didn't see the back card. I don't know if you saw the back card. We're going to pretend like you didn't. Melancholic Prophet. A colorless and a black. Creature, elf, bard. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Okay, not bad. And it's a 2/2 for 2 mana. So I can see this working. I've been thinking about making a Killian deck, the one from the original Strixhaven set. So, well, this card would work really great with that. Stone Docent? I'll call it Docent. 1 colorless and a white. Creature, Spirit Chimera. 1 white. Exile this card from your graveyard. Oof. You gain 2 life, surveil 1, activate only as a sorcery. And it's a 3/1. I don't like exiling things from my graveyard because it's just like, okay, it's gone. You wanted it in your graveyard, you paid it for, but then like if you think about it, it's 3 mana to gain 2 life, so not as good as a food, and you surveil 1 to have a 3/1 body. Like, these cards don't make much sense to me. If you can figure out how to use these, good for you. Not my thing. This is going in my bulk pile. Muse's Encouragement. 4 colorless and a blue. Instant. Create a 3/3 blue and red elemental creature token with flying and surveil 2. The fact that it's an instant is nice. And especially since you're creating a token with flying and it's got a body to it, it's a 3/3. That'd be nice to surprise somebody if they're swinging at you with the flyer. Especially if there's like a combat damage trigger that you want to prevent or something. But the fact that you get to surveil 2 on top of creating that token, that's not too bad. Expressive Fire Dancer. 1 colorless and a red. Creature, human sorcerer. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, this creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. If 5 or more mana was spent to cast that spell, this creature also gains double strike until end of turn. Okay. Okay. I mean, if you're running your storm counter up, this is great. Especially if you can give a double strike somewhere in that. Rancorous Archaic. 5 colorless creature avatar. Trample Reach. Ooh. This creature enters with a +1/+1 counter on it for each color of mana spent to cast it. Ooh! So it costs 5 mana. You can do 1 mana of each color. And then you have a 7/7 with Trample and Reach. That's not bad at all. You just need the colored mana. That's the only thing. Embrace the Paradox. 3 colorless. Actually, wait a minute. Let's go back to this. This is colorless. You can get a 7/7. You can get a 7/7 colorless if you're playing in a deck that produces mana outside of your colors. So like if you're playing a white deck, or if you're playing a blue deck, or if you're playing well, I guess black has some trample. But if you're playing a white or blue deck and you want a creature with trample and you have things that can produce mana of different colors, like let's say you're playing Azorius, you dump blue, you dump white, and then you have 3 different things that can produce 3 different mana. Now you have a Trample Reach 7/7 in blue or white. So this is actually cooler than I initially thought. Embrace the Paradox. 3 colorless, green, blue. Instant, draw 3 cards. You may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. I'd prefer... There's another spell that's in these colors. It says draw a card. You may play an additional land this turn. I almost prefer that because you can get mana from the land, and it's only 2 mana to play that spell. I mean, yeah, you get to draw 3, and that's before you can put a land. So I mean, perhaps there's a land with an enter the battlefield effect, or if you're playing with lands that enter tapped anyway, this doesn't hurt. Summoned Dromedary. 3 colorless and a white creature. Spirit Camel. You don't see camel that often. Vigilance. Return a white and a colorless, return this card from your graveyard to your hand. Activate only as a sorcery. Okay, some of that graveyard recursion. There's I know that Quintorius had a lot of interaction with that because that's a deck that my friend Mason plays. So this might be a good card for him. I don't really have many decks that do triggers based off of when something leaves the graveyard, except for my Muldrotha deck. So this might prove valuable to him. And plus it's a spirit, so it plays in that type that deck is built off of. Social Snub. A colorless, a white, and a black. Sorcery. When you cast a spell while you control a creature, you may copy this spell. Okay. Each player sacrifices a creature of their choice. Each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. Okay. So if you control another creature, you can have everybody sack 2 creatures, and each opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life, all for 3 mana. That's pretty nice, especially in Orzhov colors. Quandrix Charm. A green and a blue instant. Choose 1. Okay. Everything that says choose 1 that gives you more than 2 options is always worth considering. Every single time. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 2. Okay. Destroy target enchantment. That's nice. And target creature has base power and toughness 5/5 until end of turn. Cool. So if you have a 1/1 flyer, you can obliterate something. If your opponent has an enchantment that you want to get rid of it. If you're early game and somebody doesn't have enough mana to tap down, or even mid game and they're running low on mana, make them pay an extra 2 to cast a spell. Just tap them out a little bit. And they're paying the same amount that you are. So this is actually a really nice card. I like it. I like that it's got the recycle looking symbol on it. Okay. Tablet of Discovery. 2 colorless and a red. When this artifact enters, mill a card. You may play that card this turn. Tap to add a red, or tap to add 2 red. Spend this mana only to cast instant and sorcery spells. A red mana rock that doesn't enter tapped. This is awesome. I love mana rocks. There's tons of things that add green mana. There's tons of things that add There's just tons of things that add green mana. This adds red mana. It's a red mana rock. This is awesome. And the fact that you can mill a card and play it. That's cool too. Arc of Hunger. 2 colorless, a red and a white artifact. Whenever 1 or more cards leave your graveyard, this artifact deals 1 damage to each opponent and you gain 1 life. Again, good for Quintorius. Tap, mill a card. You may play that card this turn. Okay, so that pairs well with Tablet of Discovery. So, I guess, I mean, a lot of the times you'll see that Impulse exile from the top of your library. You can play that card until end of turn. It's cool that they're doing mill and you can play until end of turn. I mean, yeah, it's not in Muldrotha's colors, but I wonder what potential there is in doing that. I mean, especially if you're scrying and you're putting stuff on the top of your library, and then perhaps if you have things that reduce your costs from graveyards. I'd imagine this stuff would work well with Jeskai because there's quite a few blue creatures that reduce the cost of spells that you play from your graveyard. Or perhaps even every color but black. I forget the name of that color combo, but then you have... what's his name? It's the bear from the Outlaws of Thunder Junction. It's not coming. But this would be neat to pair with stuff like that reduces the cost of cards from your graveyard. Locust Spray. 1 black. Instant. Target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn, and you can cycle it for a black. Okay. I like the art. The art's really cool. It's got a very fairy look to it. I'd imagine that's supposed to be insects, but I mean, you kind of get this pattern behind the armor. So I kind of get a fairy vibe from it. You can cycle it for a black, so you can draw a card and put this in your graveyard, and then, I mean, black usually does good with stuff in the graveyard. So if you're playing this in a Golgari deck or something like that, I don't have anything popping to mind at the moment. Perhaps a Madness deck. Yeah, cycling and Madness should be best friends. They should be. And plus, giving something -1/-1 until end of turn. There's so many pesky things that have 1 toughness. Like Codis, the Fangbearer. This is a great way to get rid of Codis if somebody brings him right out. Just, he is indestructible, but he has 0 toughness. So send him to your graveyard or to your command zone, buddy. And if you're not playing against something that has annoying 1 toughness creatures, you can cycle it. So I guess maybe this isn't that bad. Might be better than I thought. Hydro Channeler, a colorless and a blue. Tap, add a blue. Spend this mana only to cast an instant or sorcery spell. And 1 colorless, tap, add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only cast an instant or sorcery spell. It's also a 1/3. It's a 1/3 mana dork. Yes, it's instant and sorcery specific, but I mean, I don't mind that. If I build an instant and sorcery deck ever, I'm not a spell slinger. You might be asking yourself, why buy Strixhaven if you're not a spellslinger? Well, because Strixhaven is popular, and I like some of the cards in there, but I like the permanents in there, not the instants and sorceries. So, yeah. Spectacle Summit. This land enters tapped, blue or red, and you can also pay for 2 colorless, a blue and a red to tap and surveil 1. I mean, yeah, it's a hefty mana cost to surveil, but it's a land, so you can turn 1 if you don't have a good land to play. You can put this in tapped, and you can play both of your colors, or 2 of your 3, or 2 of your 4, or 2 of your 5. I mean, it's always nice having a land with an ability, especially if it's a dual land anyway. Most of them make you have the land intertapped as it is, so why not get a potential activated ability out of it? All right, the green pack. Saving the best color for last. Yes, I know. Green is very versatile. It has practically no weakness. But that's why it's the best. Inklings / Spirit. Our land is Forum of Amity. Enters tapped, and it's Surveil, but it's in Orzhov colors. So I flipped that back card again. Essence Scatter, colorless and a blue, instant, counter target creature spell. Always great to have on hand, especially if you're playing a blue deck, and I love that art. Some squashed bug. Squish them bugs. Put it in the graveyard. Goblin Glasswright, a colorless and a red creature, goblin sorcerer. This creature enters prepared. 1 red, craft with pride. Sorcery, create a treasure token. Okay, I suppose if you're blinking him. Yeah, so if you blink him, he creates a treasure token. He's prepared. You can do the spell again and again. So if you have something that says whenever you sack a permanent, do 1 damage to somebody, or if you have something that says whenever you sack a permanent, there's a little imp, maybe? It's a black imp. It says whenever a permanent leaves the battlefield, scry 1. So if you find a way to infinitely blink this guy, you can infinitely scry 1. Or you can infinitely do damage to somebody, or there's a whole bunch of things that, like, say whenever you sack a treasure token, I think might be some triggers off of that. All that being said, you need to find a way to continually blink this guy, so that can be difficult. Glorious Decay. 1 colorless and a green instant. Choose 1 to start target artifact. Glorious Decay deals 4 damage to target creature with flying, or exile target card from a graveyard and draw a card. Okay. Anything that gives you 2 or more options, always worth considering. 2 mana to draw a card is good as it is, but the fact that you can destroy an artifact if need be, or you can do 4 damage to a creature with flying. There's so many annoying artifacts, and 4 is typically a good number to get rid of a creature with flying. I mean, all that in 2 mana. Options. Good. Ooh. Adventurous Eater. 2 colorless and a black. Creature, human warlock. This creature enters prepared. Have a bite. 1 black mana. Sorcery. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. You gain 1 life. Huh. How could someone abuse this? Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. You gain 1 life. Well, either way it would involve blinking. Yeah, I don't know. You get a 3/2 for 3 mana though, with a sorcery attached to it. So, Eager Glyph Mage. 3 colorless and a white creature, cat cleric. When this creature enters, create a 1/1 white and black inkling creature token with flying. Okay, not bad. I mean, if you're doing blink anyway for all the prepared stuff, that doesn't hurt. You can create inklings on the way. It's also a 3/3 cat. This would be neat. This would be good in my wife's cat deck, just to have a flyer, just to create one. And then if she ever is able to pull him from the graveyard, create another one. It's not bad. Cats lack reach or flying. Imperious Ink Mage. 1 colorless, a white and a black creature, orc warlock. It's kind of blue for an orc, but that's cool. Vigilance. When this creature enters, surveil 2. And it's a 3/3. So, I mean, you're getting your value with your mana. You get a 3/3 with a keyword. And you get to surveil 2 in black and white. So that gives you nice card advantage. That's a pretty cool card, actually. Spirit Call Enthusiast. 2 colorless and a white creature, cat cleric. Whenever 1 or more tokens you control enter, this creature becomes prepared. Okay, so you're creating tokens. Put this in. Scroll Boost. A colorless and a white sorcery. 1 or 2 target creatures each get +1/+2/+2 until end of turn. So, if perhaps this went into... Yes, if you put this in... It's not Gishath, but it's like Girath or something, Mirror of the Wilds. He says each non-token creature you control taps to create a token that's a copy of a token that entered the battlefield this turn. If you're creating treasures, you can prepare this and then create tokens that are copies of the treasure with Midnight Guard, and then you can infinitely use its sorcery ability. 1 or 2 target creatures each get +2/+2 until end of turn. And he has green and red in his colors, so it's easy to get access to Trample. So this might go in my Mirror of the Wilds deck. Teacher's Pest. A black and a green. Creature, Skeleton Pest. Skeleton Pest. Oh, neat. Menace. Whenever this creature attacks, you gain 1 life. A black and a green. Return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. And that's equal to its mana value. So you can get those death triggers off of this dude. That's pretty nice. That's a good combo piece. I like it. Fractalize. X and a blue. Instant. Until end of turn, target creature becomes a green and blue fractal with base power and toughness, each equal to X plus 1. So you get the 1 from paying the blue, and you can buff something equal to the amount of mana that you pay. I mean, that's versatile. If you have mana floating, or if you have mana standing, you can just make something big enough to where somebody can't swing through. Or if it's your turn and you have a creature with trample, you can just buff it equal to the amount of mana that you pay. Postmortem Professor. 1 colorless and 1 black. Creature. Zombie Warlock. This creature can't block. Whenever this creature attacks, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. A colorless and a black. Exile an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. Return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield. I don't like exiling things, but if you have no graveyard recovery anyway, and you're just burning through your spells, I mean, sure, that can work, but then you'd want those things that benefit off of it leaving the graveyard at least to get the value, or, I don't know, perhaps you're working on a delve deck and like things in exile for some reason. I can't stand exiling my own cards if I can help it, so just this process bugs me. But I mean, lose 1 life, you gain 1 life, each opponent. So that's 3 damage if you're playing in a pot of 4. Archifungar again. We reviewed this card, so I'm just gonna put it in the pile. Burst Lightning. A red instant, kicker 4. You can pay an additional 4. Burst Lightning deals 2 damage to any target. If the spell was kicked, it deals 4 damage instead. So you basically get a lightning bolt that you could pour 4 mana into to do an extra 1 damage. Lightning bolt is better, but if you're looking to do that raw damage in a red deck, or a deck that has red, doesn't hurt to have an extra thing if that's the skill or ability you're looking for. This could go in my Osher Exonal deck. Eternal Student. 3 colorless and a black. Creature, zombie, warlock. A colorless and a black. Exile this card from your graveyard. Create 2 1/1 white and black inkling creature tokens with flying, and it's a 4/2. Again, you have to exile it in order to do it. I mean, if you're milling and the only thing you want is the inklings, you spend 2 mana for 2 1/1 white flyers. Sorry, a mosquito got me. So I mean, its mana value isn't bad for what you'd be doing, but then again, you're exiling this from your graveyard. No getting it back unless you're playing some Eldrazi combo. All right, so that's 3 out of 6. Let's open this other pack. For those of you who are watching, I appreciate you taking the time to view this video. I am amateur. This is new for me, so these videos aren't going to be perfect. That being said, I appreciate the time you're putting into watching it. I hope that you've enjoyed it so far. Another Zatalpa, never hurts. Mosquitoes are starting to eat me up, so it'll incentivize me to either talk faster or talk less. So these might be a little faster than the last 3 packs. Pest, Fractal, and I didn't flick the land this time, so it'll be a surprise. Noxious Newt, a colorless and a green for a death touch mana dude, a mana dork. That's nice. It's nice having something with death touch, especially since you can't tap it anyway for the first time it's down, unless you have something that gives it haste, obviously. But just, you know, you get a mana rock for 2, and it's a 1/2 with death touch. So early game, the turn that you put it down, it's like, yeah, I don't get to tap the mana, but I have something that can kill you. So Noxious Newt's a pretty cool card. I like it. Burog Banemaker. We visited this guy, actually, first pack. Rapier Wit. We saw that one, too. Landscape Painter. We saw that one, too. Strife Scholar. We saw that one, too. Wow. Petitioner's Trove. 3 colorless. Artifact. Tap to add 1 mana of any color, so standard 3 cost. Tap, you gain 2 life. Activate only if you cast an instant or sorcery spell this turn. Neat. Perturga Fractal. X green blue creature dinosaur fractal. Dinosaur fractal. That's cool. Flying. This creature enters with X +1/+1 counters on it. When this creature enters, you gain 2 life. It's a 1/0, so you have to put something into X, at least 1, and then you have a 1/2. That being said, the more mana you dump into it, probably the more value you're going to get out of it. I don't know if it's really worth its mana value. I mean, it doesn't have flash or anything, and you have to put something in X. A lot of the times, like, something will be 0/1. It's neat. I think it's cool that it's a dinosaur fractal. You don't really... I haven't seen that yet, but it kind of... If we're talking about what Strixhaven kind of is, it's kind of Harry Potter. So it's one of those patronums, the spirit animal things. So kind of got its own gist to it. Ennis, debate moderator. I opened this guy in the one pack that I did open. A colorless and a white. Legendary creature, human cleric. When Ennis enters, exile up to one other target creature you control. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. At the beginning of your end step, if one or more cards were put into exile this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Ennis. So if you're exiling things and you're bringing them back, which with the prepared ability makes a lot of sense, you can buff this guy up. Cheeser's Pest, we saw that one. A Vibrant Outburst, a blue and a red instant. Vibrant Outburst deals 3 damage to any target. Ooh, tap up to 1 target creature. That is like Lightning Bolt plus one of the many blue cost instants tap to tap a target creature. That's great. I love that. You're giving us Light Bolt with extra. That's cool. Magma Blood Archaic. Okay, I saw this guy online. I thought this card was really cool for a multicolored deck. This creature enters with a +1/+1 counter on it for each color of mana spent to cast it. It's got Trample Reach. And its mana cost is either two of any combination of other colors or a red times 3. So you could pay 6 mana of any combination of colors other than red, or you can pay 3 red mana. He enters with a +1/+1 counter on it for each color of mana spent to cast it, though. So if you play 5 colors, you could potentially pay one of them being red and using the advantage of paying two instead of a red to give him 5 +1/+1 counters. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn for each color of mana spent to cast that spell. Wow. This is just such a powerful card. I love this card. This is great. Now I need to build a Spellslinger deck. Now that I'm buying Strixhaven, that's when I need to buy. Sorry, not buy. That's when I need to build a Spellslinger deck. I kind of tried with Calamax, the Storm Sergeant. It's a dinosaur elemental, but he was lacking in bodies. Well, this is a body. Disdainful Stroke. A colorless and a blue instant counter target spell with mana value 4 or greater. Ooh, that is awesome. I love this. Just being able to counter something, especially like, yes, 4 or greater is a restriction. Most problems are mana value 4 or greater. Having this in your hand and not having to have 2 blue specifically untapped, this is great. I love this. Banishing Betrayal. A colorless and a blue instant, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, surveil 1. Okay, not terrible. And then we get a Plains. All right, 2 more packs. 2 more packs. I'm not certain if I've opened a chase card yet. I assign value to my cards. Other people don't assign value to my cards. I like cards based off of what they do and what I like. Sure, you might like cards better than me for different reasons, and some are just objectively good, like Lotus Petal and there's tons of cards out there. Now that I'm trying to talk about them, they're not on my mind, but there's tons of cards out there that are just great. I play in bracket 3, not that the bracket system's perfect, but I play in that range area, or at least I try to. So I'm not really as concerned about optimizing my decks as perfect as they can be. I'm more there to have fun with my friends. And in the past, I have optimized my decks to the point where my friends don't have fun, and that's not what I want. So a lot of the more powerful spells that I end up getting, they end up being kind of sprinkled throughout the collection of decks that I have. And I try not to optimize things as powerful as they can possibly be. I try and spread out the good cards. All right, enough of me. Follow the Lumerets, a colorless and a green sorcery. In Fusion, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature or land card from among them and put it into your hand. If you gain life this turn, you may instead reveal 2 creature cards and or land cards from among them and put them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Okay, cool. So you can scry draw 2 for 2 mana. I mean, that's not bad at all, especially if you're playing something that gains life. I've been thinking more and more about building a Bilbo deck again. I had Bilbo built, but the problem is I have a disproportionate amount of Abzan decks to my other colors because I just love Abzan. I can't get enough of it. I changed it to Baator, and ever since I've been thinking more and more about making Bilbo again a different way. So these cards are not making it easy to avoid playing Bilbo again. Burrug Banemaker. We got 3 of them now. Stone Docent. We got 2 of those. Muse's Encouragement. We got 2 of those. Strive Scholar. We got 3 of those. There we go. Something different. Fractal Mascot. 4 colorless, a green, and a blue. Creature. Fractal Elk. Trample. When this creature enters, tap target creature an opponent controls, put a stun counter on it, and it's a 6/6. So you're getting its mana value for its power toughness with a keyword. That's like the standard now. You know, whatever mana you pay, you get that much power toughness plus a keyword. But you also get to tap a creature an opponent controls and put a stun counter on it. So you get to lock something down for an extra turn. Not bad, especially I'm not a Simic player that much. I don't typically play Simic, so I mean this will probably never see play unless it's a Sultai deck or a Teamer deck. I don't play Bant much. I want to make a Bant deck. I've struggled to make a Bant deck. I only have like 2 Bant commanders, and they're not things I want to build decks on. So anyway, Quandrix Charm. Yes, this is the second one we got, but I do not mind. This is a good one to have 2 of. Tablet of Discovery. Red mana rock. Not bad to have 2 of. Campus Composer. 3 colorless and a blue creature. Merfolk Bard. Ward 2. This creature enters prepared. Aqueous Aria. 4 colorless and a blue. Create a 3/3 blue and red elemental creature token with flying. 5 mana for a 3/3 flyer isn't that great. But it is a 3/4 with Ward 2. So that's not terrible. Great Hall of the Biblioplex. Land. Tap to add a colorless. Tap to pay 1 life, add 1 mana of any color, spend this mana only to cast an instant or sorcery spell. Or you can pay 5, this land isn't a creature. If this land isn't a creature, it becomes a 2/4 wizard creature with whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, this creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. It's still a land. Neat. I bet there's stuff you could do with that. I'd imagine you want to pair... This is probably intended for the Quandrix color pairing, the blue-green, because, I mean, green gives you lands, and lands do things. So, that's interesting. The Dawning Archaic. 10 colorless. Oof. Legendary creature avatar. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard. Okay. Reach. Whenever the Dawning Archaic attacks, you may cast target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If that spell would be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. 7/7 with Reach is not bad, and plus the reduction for instants and sorceries in your graveyard. I mean, just having that body, and it says you may cast. You don't have to cast. So me not liking to exile things from my graveyard, this is a card for me, because I can get a 7/7 with Reach for 0 mana if I have enough instants of sorceries in my card, and I can still use them as an attacker without having to exile something, but it gives me the option to do that. So if I'm in a pinch, that works. I'm trying to get one card. There we go. Armageddon. Ooh, that's pretty. 3 colorless and a white, destroy all lands. It is at sorcery speed, but man, that's a pretty card. Woo! I like that. That's cool. No. No way. We got a foil Vampiric Tutor. I think that's worth like $200. Genuinely. I think that's worth $200. I'll look it up. I don't have a Vampiric Tutor, but I'm stuttering because I'm so excited. I don't have a Vampiric Tutor. So this might be something I might sell, but also, I don't know if you noticed this. It's slightly, there's a card behind it. We'll just look at it. Titan's Grave, this Surveil Land, whatever. The top of it is black, and the bottom of it, that's way shorter than it's supposed to be. So this is a misprint. Slight misprint. Vampiric Tutor. Foil. So this might be worth more than $200 because it's a slight misprint. People collect misprints all the time, but the fact that this is a foil Vampiric Tutor as it is, potentially misprinted, that could be worth more than $200. So I made my money back if I sell it. Wow. Well, no card that no other card really beats this. So far, at least. Just watch. We'll open a Force of Will. Probably not. It's possible, but probably not. Wow. Treasure and Elemental. I haven't opened up a card that valuable yet. That's the most valuable card I've opened. And I got it on screen. So that's pretty cool. Efflorescence, we got that already. Melancholic Prophet, we got that already. Stone Docent, we got that already. Muse's Encouragement, we got that already. Expressive Fire Dances, we got that already. Imperious Ink Mage, we got that already. Vibrant Outburst, we got that already. Thornfist Striker, a new card, okay. 2 colorless in a green. Creature, Elf Druid, Ward 1. Creatures you control get +1/+0 and have trample as long as you gain life this turn. Wow. Bilbo's looking better and better. Man. Ink Shape Demonstrator. 3 colorless and a white. Creature, Elephant Cleric, Ward 2. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell that targets a creature, this creature gets +1/+0 and gains lifelink until end of turn. So you can gain 4 life. That's actually not bad for this mana cost. And it has Ward 2. I'm actually really underestimating this, because if you target something, you can get lifelink until end of turn. It's a 4/4 at that point. And it has Ward 2, so I mean, if you're playing a whole bunch of instants and sorceries that target creatures, you can just buff this guy up and then gain a bunch of life potentially. I'm sure there's a way to abuse this. It's just not a combo I have in one of my decks. Scolding Administrator, a white and a black creature, Dwarf Cleric. Dwarf, yeah, something that doesn't have much support. Menace, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. When this creature dies, if it had counters on it, put those counters on up to 1 target creature. Killian's looking pretty good with some of these cards I've been getting. Traumatic Critique, X blue red. Instant. Traumatic Critique deals X damage to any target. Draw 2 cards, then discard a card. X damage to any target. Yeah, it's not as good as playing Lightning Bolt, 1-for-3 ratio, but you can do something with this. I mean, the fact that you get to draw 2 cards and discard, there's things you can do with that. Nothing that combos with one of my decks at the moment, but it's there. Repel Calamity, a colorless and a white. Instant. Destroy target creature with power or toughness 4 or greater. I like the art. I like that it's a cute little mouse. I I don't think this is really a chase card, but I mean, it's still cool. Nice to have. And especially because you're paying 2 mana to get rid of something that typically costs at least 3 mana, because 4 or greater. Yeah. Goblin Glasswright. We got this guy already, but this one's in foil. And we got a borderless forest. Alrighty. Oh, this is tight. 1 second. 1 second. I think it's stuck. Let's just twist this. There we go. I hope you enjoyed watching along with me. This Vampiric Tutor is awesome. Most valuable card I've opened so far. And oh, look at the back. Look at how off that is. So it's definitely miscut a little bit. It's not an extreme, but it's miscut a little bit. If you like Magic the Gathering, please leave a comment. Tell me what cards you liked, what cards you didn't like. What cards you might combo with things. How would you build a Bilbo deck with some of the life gain triggers? I'd really like to know. I love deck building tips and ideas. I mean, obviously there's EDH rec, but it only keeps up so much, and it's all based off of popularity. You can't really filter it off of what you want to do unless you pair a single card in with it, and then sometimes people don't use that card. Sometimes people pair that card with every other card that's the most popular. Please let me know what you would like to do with some of these cards with Bilbo, what you would pair it with. And then what deck should I put Vampiric Tutor in? There's quite a few black decks. Maybe I should do a black deck review and discover what deck I should put Vampiric Tutor in. I film all these videos not only for the intent for your enjoyment and for, opening packs and sharing it. I do this to intend to glorify Christ, Jesus. So at the end of this video, which is now, I'm going to close in word of prayer. I know that's not everybody's thing, so you don't have to stick around for it. I'd encourage you to. If you liked the video, please leave a like or even subscribe. It'll be a pleasure to see you next time. I'm going to start praying. Dear Lord, we'd like to thank you for the time that we got to share. We'd like to thank you for the pack openings today. I mean, it's not like I'm gambling or anything on these, but it's pleasant to get some nice chase cards. One in particular today, and dear Lord, just bless the viewer. Let them go on about their day and about their hobby well. And I'd like to thank you that this channel is actually getting subscribers and viewers, and I hope that this reaches them well and that it's a blessing to them. Not many people take the time to do commentary, so I hope this is something original that people can appreciate, and something more importantly that glorifies you. In the matchless name of Jesus Christ, I pray. Amen. Thank you very much. Everybody have a great day.